Welcome to episode 686 of the Entertainment 2.0 podcast, brought to you by thedigitalmediazone.com. I'm Josh Pollard, and this is the show that puts you in control of your favorite movies, music, shows, and games. No Richard this week. He's got to take the week off, but we've got a couple of a full slate of really big stories to talk about this week, I think. So we finally have details and an official announcement about that standalone ESPN streaming service, a name, a price, what we can expect out of it. We've got pretty much everything. We've got a new Google TV streaming box to talk about, some cool updates to Spotify, and some new features coming for Xbox Cloud Gaming. We also have some listener feedback. We got an email sent in to us at entertainment20@thedigitalmediazone.com from Gary, and this time I actually made sure to keep track of it so that I could read it all for you. So this is really more for Richard, but I think I can respond to it for Richard. So Gary wrote in regarding the 11 cable boxes that Richard has at the rental property that he owns, and how he's going to be ditching a lot of those with how expensive those cable box lease fees have become for him. So Gary says, maybe just get an HDMI wireless transmitter kit and send cable to the other rooms, and you won't need all the boxes. I believe what Gary's talking about is there are devices out there where you can take the HDMI signal out of an HDMI port out of any device, but it's typically in cable boxes, and then get multiple HDMI wireless receiver devices that you would plug into TVs. And then if you can control that device wirelessly from various other places, then you can watch it on multiple TVs throughout your property. There's a couple of big limitations there. One, like I said, you do have to be able to wirelessly control a cable box that is likely in a different room from where you are. But then the other limitation there is it's only one output. If you put one of these devices in and then put the receivers on 10 TVs in your house, well, all 10 TVs are going to be stuck watching the same thing. So if the baseball fanatic has the baseball game on and the kids want to watch cartoons or something else, they can't, because you're only able to stream one thing with these types of boxes. Now, maybe Gary has something else in mind, but I don't know of anything off the shelf that would support sending multiple signals out of a single cable box. So this just doesn't seem like the right solution for what Richard is trying to go for in rental property, because we're talking about multiple bedrooms, and a couple of other shared living spaces and stuff. They're just like, the whole point is to allow people to watch different things at the same time. So I don't think this option is going to work for Richard in his specific use case. But if you, listener, do have a use case where you want to wirelessly share one content source across multiple TVs, then a wireless HDMI kit like what Gary is talking about could be a really great solution for you. So Gary, thank you for sending in that feedback, and we look forward to more feedback in the future. Feels like the biggest news story of the week. And I don't know, now that I think about this news, maybe this is why Richard's not here. That's not true. I'm just kidding. But it is for all of you sports fans out there. We've known for months that ESPN has been working on a standalone streaming service, And now ESPN has finally shared most of the details about what we can expect from this new service. So, first off, the name. We've been wondering, ESPN is the cable channels, ESPN Plus is the streaming service, and it's really more than that because it also gives you access to like articles and paywalled content on the ESPN.com website. And they've got all of these different channels with different numbers and stuff. What would they call this? They're keeping it simple, folks. It's just called ESPN. If you want to watch ESPN, whether it's through your cable provider or from a dedicated streaming app, it's just called ESPN. When can you get it? This was the least clear detail that we got. It's coming early this fall. That means they're going to have it ready for football season. Exactly what you would expect, right? Both college football and NFL. Although, frankly, I think that ESPN is a better home for college football than NFL football because I believe they only carry one NFL football game per week. And it's like dozens of college football games every week that you can watch across all of the different ESPN channels. So what channels, which like I almost feel like I have to put in quotes, but you wouldn't be able to see them if you're just listening to the podcast anyway. What channels from the TV version are you going to get from the streaming version of ESPN? All of them. In fact, there are channels that I didn't even know that ESPN owned. So let's just rattle them off. ESPN, ESPN2, ESPNU, ESPN News, ESPN Deportes. Those may be kind of expected. You also get SECN, ACCN, ESPN Plus, ESPN on ABC, ESPN3, SEC Network Plus, and ACCNX. So I didn't even know that ESPN owned these special sports channels that are specifically for the SEC and the ACC. So you're getting a ton of regular live TV. Plus, in case you didn't catch that, it includes everything that we've been getting on ESPN Plus. So this isn't a situation where you need to have regular ESPN and ESPN Plus to get everything. It's one thing. It gets you everything. They've actually made this pretty simple. Didn't maybe necessarily expect that, but ESPN, they're just keeping it simple here. Okay, so that's what you can watch. How much will it cost you to watch all of this? This price kind of surprised me, if I'm being honest. $30 a month or $300 a year. That's actually a little bit less than I expected. I thought it might be 35, even 40, maybe more per month, but it's not. It's only 30. And it seems, this feels like a pretty good price to me. Now, but for it to be a good price, like you have to compare it to what your other options are. If you're going to compare it to watching ESPN on YouTube TV, well, you're saving over $50 a month. But services like YouTube TV and Sling and Fubo, they all give you a lot more channels that aren't just sports. So it's definitely an apples to oranges situation. But if the bulk of the sports you want to watch are on ESPN, then this will absolutely be the least expensive way to watch that. Your next cheapest option would be Sling Orange, of course. Sling Orange is $45 a month. It gets you all of these ESPN channels. It also gets you, again, if you're only caring about sports, it does get you access to TNT and some of those provided networks, which can get you hockey and basketball and things like that. But it costs more. So if you're thinking, I really just want college football, ESPN probably going to be the way for you to get it. But if you do want any of those other services, then you should probably still be looking at things like Sling. But if you're primarily focused on a sport that's almost exclusively on ESPN, this feels like a no-brainer. Of course, most of you listeners will also know that when it came to the current/previous ESPN streaming option, ESPN Plus, there were bundle options, and there are bundle options here also. So the best one is an introductory bundle that gets you ESPN and Disney Plus and Hulu, although this deal is specifically for the ad-supported versions of Disney Plus and Hulu. You get all three of them for $30 a month for 1 year. That's right. You're basically getting Disney Plus and Hulu for free for a year. This may only be for new subscribers, and I don't know if new subscribers means you can't have been a subscriber to Disney Plus and Hulu, or if it just means new subscribers to ESPN, which would kind of be everybody. If so, that feels like a pretty awesome bundle for sure, as long as you're all right with the ads. After that introductory plan, or if you don't qualify for it for some reason, there are still bundles. That bundle with Disney Plus and Hulu with ads will regularly be $36 a month. So if you compare this to the bundle that you might have gotten before that had Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN Plus, then this really makes it only $19 a month over that previous bundle, and it gets you all of the ESPN content. If you're not willing to watch ads, the bundle of ESPN with Hulu and Disney Plus with no ads is $45 a month. Again, that's only $18 over the bundle that only had ESPN Plus before. So these bundles are actually really good deals for what you're getting, because you're knocking $11 or $12 off of the price of the ESPN service. So that's pretty awesome. Lastly, ESPN Plus, it's not going away. If you still just want what you've been getting with ESPN Plus, for me, that basically meant access to, 99% of the NHL games. I believe they also may have an NBA package on there too. Regardless, ESPN Plus, it's still going to be around. It will still be $12 a month, but it's going to have a different name. It's just going to be called ESPN Select. So that's the big news. Pretty much all of the details around ESPN's standalone streaming service. The only thing we don't know for absolute certain at this point is what's the actual date. I'm going to guess it's going to be sometime around the middle of August, because college football starts at the end of August. Okay, well, we've also got a new streaming box to talk about here that's only sort of maybe not officially been announced, but you can buy it depending on what store you walk into. Yeah, for those of you who've been listening for a while, you might know what manufacturer we're talking about here. It's the ON brand, ONN. These are devices that are exclusively sold at Walmart because Walmart owns the ON brand. So this is a new Google TV streamer. It is the ON 4K Plus, not to be confused with the ON 4K Pro that I purchased last year, that came out last year, that we've been raving about. So what's the difference? What are you getting out of an ON 4K Plus? Well, the processor, it's an Amlogic S905 X5M processor. I don't know the specifics about this processor, but I'm pretty certain it's less powerful than the one that's in the 4K Pro, right? It's got to be. In terms of RAM and storage, it has 2 gigs of RAM and 16 gigs of storage. So that's definitely more storage than in some of the lower and middle tier boxes that are out there. In terms of what it supports, You're obviously getting 4K video, but you're also getting HDR with both Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos audio on board. Just a couple of episodes ago, we were talking about the new Roku devices. The mid-range Roku was the $40 Roku Plus. It supported 4K and HDR, but it did not have Dolby Vision. This device does have Dolby Vision, and it's cheaper. We'll get to the price in a minute. This device also comes with a voice remote. It supports Wi-Fi 6, so that you'll have a good wireless streaming experience. You're going to need a good wireless streaming experience because it doesn't have an Ethernet port. It also doesn't have a USB port. What it does have is an HDMI port and a USB-C port. And the USB-C port is primarily for charging, but there are people who already have this device because, like I said, you can walk into some Walmarts and find them on store shelves right now, even though it's not available on their website, even though it hasn't been officially announced. But the people who have already purchased these, some of them have plugged in USB-C hubs. It works, plug the power into your USB-C hub, plug a Ethernet cable into that USB-C hub that has Ethernet, and it will work with Ethernet that way. You should also be able to do USB storage through that, but that hasn't been confirmed as far as I've seen. Okay, so what's the cost and what does this actually look like in comparison to the On 4K Pro and that Roku Plus that we were just talking about? The On 4K Plus, this new device, is $30. So it's $10 less than that Roku Plus that we were talking about. It's $20 less than the 4K Pro. Okay, so for $20 in savings, should we expect a significantly lower experience? I'm not sure. The 4K Pro has 50% more RAM. That sounds like a lot more, but it's still only 3 gigs of RAM. It has significantly more storage. It has 32 gigs of storage. Now, storage doesn't necessarily mean a ton on these devices unless you're really installing like a billion apps on these things, but I don't think most people are. But RAM matters a lot with Android-based devices, and storage on these devices has mattered too. So we'll see. I think that and what are the other differences with the 4K Pro? The 4K Pro also does have Ethernet built in and a USB 3 port built in, but maybe those don't matter to you. The rest of the experience should be about the same. I would expect this 4K Plus to not perform quite as well, but is it going to be to the point that you notice? Maybe not initially, but I would also expect that over time, especially with only 2 gigs of RAM, it's going to eventually start to slow down. And with 16 gigs of storage, if you do have a ton of apps and you're subscribed to like the 4K versions of all of the streaming services out there, like Netflix and HBO, you're going to start building up a big cache of storage on these devices. So if you're looking for a new device to connect to your biggest, best TV in the house, well, probably get the 4K Pro. Or, if you're in a different ecosystem, you're probably already thinking Apple TV or maybe Roku Ultra. If it's a secondary TV in a bedroom, in the basement, in your garage, somewhere else, this sounds like the perfect device for that. If you don't need the absolute best possible experience, and maybe you don't expect to put 100 different apps on this thing because you're subscribed to every single streaming service under the sun, this sounds like a great deal. $30 with a voice remote and support for Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos. Sounds pretty great to me. Again, none of this is really, really absolutely official, except for the fact that you can go out and potentially buy one off of your shelf while you're listening to this podcast. So go check it out. let us know what you think about the On 4K Plus. Off to some audio news. And this week, our news is from Spotify. Spotify has released an update, and some of these features seem to be rolling out maybe a little bit slowly, or maybe just aren't quite ready yet. So, what is actually there? Well, first off, let's talk about your music queue. I want to be real clear there. The queue is whatever music you're currently listening to, regardless of whether that was a playlist or whatever. We're not talking about playlist here. We're talking about the queue. They're giving you more control over the queue. And in some ways, it's a little bit easier. So when you're in the queue now, you have dedicated buttons there for shuffle, smart shuffle, repeat, and a sleep timer. I believe that sleep timer is new to the queue functionality. If you're a premium user, then you can actually see what it's automatically going to start playing after your queue is up. So maybe you just picked a song or a single album to listen to. Well, by default, Spotify is going to start playing music similar to that once your pre-built queue, however you made the queue, once that's done, it starts playing stuff that would make sense. You can now see that ahead of time. You can also drag all of the songs, whether they're the songs that you put in the queue or it's AI put in the queue afterward. You can drag them, rearrange them to your heart's content there. They're also updating their hide functionality. Algorithms are great, but algorithms are way better if you can have more fine-grained control over them. And one really nice feature that they're adding is a tweak to their hide functionality. So they've had the ability to hide a song from a playlist, including their generated playlist, like their release radar, for a while. But for some strange reason, when you clicked hide, it only hit it on the device that you were currently playing on. So if that was your computer, and then you got up and started listening to Spotify on your phone or on your Google TV device in the living room, well, that song is going to be there in your playlist again. So this fixes that. If you click hide, it'll be hidden across all of your devices. One feature that's coming but isn't here yet, maybe there's a song that you like, but it's just kind of overplayed for you right now. And let's be honest, Spotify does this. There are songs that Spotify just seems to put in like every playlist that I have. And eventually you get tired of hearing those songs. But maybe you don't want to like never hear them again. So they are bringing a new feature soon that's a 30-day snooze. And it does exactly that. You click that 30-day snooze button and they'll just stop putting it in all of your automated playlists for the next 30 days. I think it's a brilliant feature. I'm looking forward to this. I think that's the kind of break that I would want from some songs on occasion. That's not it. They're increasing the customization of playlist now. So you, especially from the mobile app, are going to have more control than maybe you were used to having. You now get a better interface for adding, sorting, and editing your playlist. And right from the mobile app, you're going to be able to create custom cover art for the playlist that you're creating. So that's fun too. And then lastly, the main part of this that most of the other news reporters are focusing on is they've got a new AI DJ that you can talk to. They've had AI DJ for a while now where you can just click DJ and it gives you an AI powered DJ that talks to you and just starts playing songs that you might like. They've also had a custom ability to like make a DJ curated playlist by like typing in a command to the DJ. The new feature that's coming is when you go into DJ mode, you're going to be able to long press on the DJ button and then just talk to it. Say, whatever you want to it to try and have it serve up some music that you're in the mood for, regardless of how ridiculous your statement might be. I wanted to test this with some things tonight. It's not showing up for me on my Android device. I did make sure that I've got the latest version of the Spotify app on my Android phone, but it wasn't there yet. So this might be a feature that they're slowly rolling out to users. And maybe they're starting with people who have used the AI DJ more in the past, which I haven't really. I checked it out again today as I was trying to make this new feature work. I kind of like it. Like I feel like I need to give the AI DJ another chance because it is kind of cool to have the DJ talk you through the things that it's playing, even if it pronounces things really oddly at times, like saying Blink 182. No, it's just Blink 182, my man. So those are all of your new features coming to Spotify. One gaming story for you this week, and it's a pretty quick one. It's for our Xbox fans out there. If you are an Xbox fan who likes using Xbox cloud gaming from your console, well, there's a new feature in store for you. It's actually been available on cloud gaming for PC for a while now, since last year. It's the ability to use a mouse and keyboard through cloud gaming. So maybe you want to play Fortnite or Halo Infinite or Call of Duty through streaming with a mouse and keyboard. Well, you're going to be able to do it soon because right now it's being tested in one of their insider rings. If you are in the Delta Xbox Insider Ring, you probably have access to this right now. We never know for sure when features will move from being in an insider ring to being generally available, but in general, it doesn't usually take that long. So this could only be a couple of weeks before we see this widely made available to everybody with an Xbox. So if that's a feature you've been looking forward to, you should be getting it very, very soon on your Xbox. Okay, so let's get into what's been going on in my entertainment center. Well, it's been kind of an off week for me. I've had a very busy week and a very busy weekend, especially with Mother's Day. Hopefully you all celebrated the mothers in your life this week. On the gaming front, I basically didn't get a chance to play any games. Maybe a little bit of Art of Rally on my Legion Go. That is like my go-to chill game. I've just got a few minutes to play and I just want to turn off my brain for a few minutes and play a game. I've been playing a lot of Art of Rally on my Legion Go, which, by the way, if you're interested in that, it is a really fun arcade racing game. It is on sale right now for 50% off on Xbox, which makes it $12.50. It's a long, fairly deep game if you're into arcade rally racing. And importantly, I think as we continue to move into this world of of handheld gaming PCs, but this is true for all gaming PCs, this game is one of those third-party published games that does support Xbox Play Anywhere. So if you buy it once, you have access to it on Xbox and on Windows PCs. So that's a pretty sweet deal. If I didn't already own it, I would be buying it this way for sure, because then I could play it on my Xbox and on my Legion Go. So, but very much looking forward to getting back to Clair Obscur Expedition 33. Hopefully over the coming days, it's going to be another busy weekend for me. So we'll see. No movies for me in the last week. On the TV front, of course, more NHL playoffs. They've been so good. Let's go Leafs. More of The Last of Us Season 2. I am now through episode 4. I am liking this series less and less with every episode. And now it's not even just the things they're changing. the actress who plays Ellie is getting a lot of hate on the internet. I don't think it's fair, and most of it is basically just cyberbullying. But I don't really like what they're doing with her character. It feels like her character in the TV show doesn't have nearly the motivation that her character did in the game. And I can say that without spoiling anything. She just doesn't seem to be as motivated. And it is allowing another female character in the show to, I think, outshine her. And it feels like it's intentional that they've just crafted a better character experience for the other primary important female well, not the other one. Well, screw it. I'll just say the character name. It's not really a spoiler. I think Dina, the actress playing Dina, is out acting the actress playing Ellie, and I don't think it's the actress's fault. I think they're just doing the wrong thing to Ellie's character in the show. They're just doing kind of dumb things. Like, yeah, some things can move around for making the plot work a little bit better as a TV show. There were things again that they moved out of order into episode 4 here. That's fine, but like the way that they announce some of these things or do some of these things just felt kind of dumb right near the end of this episode. If you're watching, yeah, I'm just not loving it. I'm gonna keep watching it, right? Like I think it's only 3 more episodes this season anyway. But this show has gone downhill in a major way for me. A show that's going in the right direction for me, finally got around to watching Dark Matter. Well, not all of it, but Jen and Eden and I are all watching Dark Matter on Apple TV Plus. This is a sci-fi TV show that is an adaptation of the book by the same name by one of my favorite authors, Blake Crouch. I loved this book, and so far I'm really enjoying the TV show adaptation too. I'm sure there are differences, but I'm so bad at remembering them because it's been well over a year since I read Dark Matter. But it was a great book. I'm really enjoying the show. You can absolutely watch and enjoy the show without having read the book, but like readers always say, the book is pretty much always better. So I would recommend both to you, the book and the TV show on Apple TV Plus. Okay, well, that is it for what is going on in my entertainment center. If you'd like to get a hold of us, you can do that in a lot of different ways. Our email address is entertainment20@thedigitalmediazone.com. You can find us on Twitter. I'm at Josh Pollard. The website is at DigiMediaZone. I'm also on Blue Sky at Josh Pollard. Richard is there, richardgunther.com, but Richard is primarily just Richard Gunther on Mastodon. Head on over to our website to find the show notes for this show. www.thedigitalmediazone.com will get you all of the show notes. Yes, we actually list what we talk about on our podcast and give you links to dig in for more details on the topics that we talked about. Give you easy access to our contact information and the ability to subscribe wherever you're listening. Also, our YouTube channel, because we've been putting up video versions of most of these podcasts. We would love it if you'd head on over to YouTube and like the podcast and subscribe to the channel over there. As Richard pointed out on the last episode, I should keep reminding people, if you've been listening to this podcast on something other than YouTube, but YouTube is your preferred way of consuming podcasts, well, we fixed that for you. We now have the podcast in YouTube for all of you fans who are listening to audio podcasts through YouTube. It's there. If you want to find it easily, we've got a link to it in the show notes over at the website. And occasionally we're doing the show live. It's typically Tuesday or Wednesday nights around 8:30 p.m. Eastern. If you subscribe to us on social, we're usually posting messages about it to give you a little bit of a heads up for that. So again, thank you for listening. That is going to do it for episode 686. I'm Josh Pollard. Thanks for listening to Entertainment 2.0. Adios.